Three, two, one. This is Nick.
And this is Amanda.
And this is the Performance Plate Podcast, where we give you bite-sized bits of information based on nutrition and exercise science to improve your overall performance. Welcome back to the Performance Plate Podcast. And on this episode, we thought it would be fun to share some facts about ourselves that not many people may know, unless you're pretty close to us or you've known us for a long time. And we really think it's going to be interesting because maybe we'll learn stuff about ourselves that we maybe never ever told each other.
Yeah, I'm excited. You want to go first?
Sure. I mean, you know this one already because, or maybe you don't. I don't know. So fun fact or interesting fact, I was on national television for being too tan, which I told a lot of people. It was a
Cringe.
well, yes, it was quite rough, but it was awesome. I mean, it's cool to see when you go through stuff like that, how production, like I think we shot for a couple hours for like
Wait,
15
so
minutes.
explain to people how you got on TV for being too tan.
Yes. So, okay, so I used to tan a lot, like tanning bed, was saying when I was bodybuilding, all that other stuff, like, oh, I just need to be tan. Happened to be that I was friends with the girl at the tanning salon, now my one fiance, Leanne. She was also my friend at that time. Spent a lot of time at the tanning salon. So how it happened was, I forget, Leanne told this lady, called the tanning salon, said, hey, we have, if I have it right, we have the show, a spin-off show. We're wondering if you know any people, or maybe it was someone got Leanne's number and was like, hey, we wonder if you know any people that would want to be interested on a spin-off show of MTV Guy Code, or Girl Code, if you guys remember what that was. So there's a spin-off called Guy Court. What they did was they called and Leanne was like, yeah, we have somebody. She gave the girl my number and the girl called me and was like, literally said to me, I was like, oh, like, hey, Nick, I'm from MTV. We're doing a spinoff of Guy Code. We're just wondering if you'd want to be on. I'm like, yeah, sure. She's like, you don't even know. I was like, don't worry about it. I want to be on it. She's like, what? And I was like, I don't care. I want to be on TV. She's
Ego
like,
was
okay.
running wild.
Yeah, I was just like, that's it. Fine, sure. And it could have been anything. It could, for all I know, it could have been like Big Brother or something, which would have been
Yeah.
really cool. And she's like, all right, here's our thought process. So according to Amanda, our friend Amanda and Leanne, you guys were you tan too much, and we're thinking that's a way you're breaking Guy Code is because you tan too much. And I'm like, all right, fine. So we had to make sure that I was extra tan for the episode. So we made sure I was extra tan. And then
Did you do like a spray on top of
yeah,
the
of
bed?
course.
Okay.
Yeah. I almost felt like doing them, like if you guys are anybody knows Friends, like where Ross does the Mystic Tan and he does the same way multiple times. It's like we should have done that, but we didn't do that. But it was, yeah, we had a spray on top. I think I did 2 sprays. Just make sure I was make sure I played it up a little bit more. And then it was cool to do, like, you go through the whole makeup process, the whole production process, right in New York City. It was a wild, exciting day, and got 10 gallons of suntan lotion, or 2 gallons of suntan lotion poured on me. Yeah, it looked like cottage cheese, which makes it even worse. But they forgot. The worst part was that they couldn't find the goggles, so I had to just be barefaced, and my eyes stung the whole day afterward. Just
Can
bright.
we link this in the show notes so people can see it?
Can we put it in the show notes? Sure.
Yeah.
I can find the link. It's always so hard to find the link for some reason because the show does not exist anymore. But I do remember it was such an awesome time, and I was at when it was going to air. Because I wasn't allowed to say anything to anybody until the previews came out, which is also really cool. And then we were at Friendsgiving in grad school, and we all had the TV on, and someone was watching the TV, and I was like, pause it right here real quick. And a commercial came on. I was like, that's me. And they're like, wait a second, that is you. And I was like, yeah, just so you know, I'm gonna be on TV. And they're like, what? So it was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
It was a cool thing to do. Very typical, like you're 22 years old, 23 years old, you just don't care about anything. Just like, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And now forever
Great story.
be ingrained. It will forever be on the internet forever that I was on TV and was too tan. Still cracks me up to this day.
If he's famous,
Yeah. 10 minutes of
you're
fame.
in his presence, you should feel
Just
special.
saying. Just saying. All right, you're up.
Okay, so my first one is that I traveled internationally with an expired passport from 2003.
What? isn't that illegal?
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So
But don't they have to
obviously,
stamp it? I have so many questions. Like, don't they
yeah,
have to stamp it? Go to. I need to hear more about this.
I have a lot of travel stories actually. Like,
I can imagine.
yes. So this was during college because when else?
Yeah.
Um, and it was for a college foremost. We were going from Penn State up to Toronto, Canada on a bus.
Mhm.
It was like 20, probably like 40 of us. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably 40 of us. And I, by the time the formal got closer and closer, I just didn't really want to go anymore. So I was packing last minute. I wasn't too worried about anything. And like, bus is coming in like 30 minutes. I'm putting my bag together. I'm like, where's my passport? Can't find it anywhere. Cool. So for some reason, I call my friend Melissa. I think she was traveling abroad at the time, but I was like, Melissa will know where it is.
Of course.
And she's like, did you check the glove compartment in your car? And I was like, Melissa, why would it be in the glove compartment of my car? Go into there. I'm like, oh, it's in here. Great. I can go open it up as I'm putting it in my bag. And it's me with pigtails from 2003. And I'm flipping through it and I'm like, where's the recent picture? It has to be in here somewhere. Cause I was like, maybe this is just, they're in the same one.
Yeah.
No, it was just expired. I grabbed the wrong one from home and I'm at college. So I can't, I don't have access to the other one.
Yeah.
So I, now that I can't go, I want to go.
Of
So
course. Yeah. You're
I'm,
like, I will
I'm
make this
calling
work.
my friends. My friend's mom is from Canada, and I'm like, "Do
Yeah.
you think I could get in with this passport and my license?" And she's like, "I think you can get in fine." She's like, "You just might have trouble coming home."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, "Okay." So everyone on the
Whatever.
bus, yeah, everything's good. It's college, right? Invincible. So, and everyone on the bus knows the story that I, couldn't find my passport and that it's expired. And when I get on, everyone's like cheering for me, laughing, and they're like, "Great." So we drive 5 or 6 hours. I'm like, I'm probably gonna be stuck in uh what's it called? By the Niagara Falls.
Border.
By the border, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Border.
go last. I have this manila folder of a background check I had to do for my personal training job, my sorority, like, certificate. I had my license, I had my expired passport, and I had something else in there too. Oh, a copy of my birth certificate.
So you just had to prove you were just doing anything to get
I
in.
was like,
Here's
here,
papers on me. They're all me,
yes.
I swear.
I'll show you my Facebook now.
Yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
the guy, I'm like getting ready to explain, the guy looks at it, he stamps it, and I go through. So again, everyone's cracking up. So I'm like,
Yeah.
cool, right? That was not a big deal. While we're there, how everyone used to have their wallet like attached to the back of their phone.
Yeah.
So I had like, I didn't realize this, but in the clubs there, they're known for pickpocketing.
Hmm.
So I had one of those bags that went around me. I guess
Yeah.
I forget what they're called. And I guess it was slightly opened.
Oh, geez.
So my phone with my license, my credit card, my debit card, and my Penn State ID were
Yeah.
stolen.
Oh, solid. No big
And I'm
deal.
like, great, I'm really not getting back to the United States now. So we're, getting the bus. I'm like fully ready to be sitting here and taken in by the sheriff. And he just stamps it again. And I'm like, I gotta ask. I'm like, this isn't a problem.
Why did you bring it up?
I had to.
You're like,
And he's like, he said, no, expired passports work on land. So
oh,
I guess you could go to Canada or Mexico with an expired passport and be okay. But please don't try that because
yeah,
there's something that feels off about that.
yeah. Seems very stressful.
Yeah.
Seems like that's not okay. Why
Yeah.
would you? Why would that happen?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh. When did you get your phone back? Or did you
I
ever
had
get
to get a new one.
it?
It
Okay.
was stolen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Canceled all the cards and
It was
everything.
gone. Yep. Yeah.
You had a rough experience, I would say, with things getting stolen from you. That's kind of crazy.
Wait, with what else?
No, I'm just saying that's kind of crazy. That's a
Oh,
rough
I was gonna say,
experience.
what else did
No,
happen?
no, 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 no. Oh, that's a right. Like that's you're already stressed from the trip before, like getting in. You get in, everything you think you're good, and then
Oh
oh
yeah.
wait, I come home without a phone or a wallet or anything in money. You're just like, this is good.
Yeah, it
Good
was really
times.
awesome. Yeah. No, you know what? I do remember though that week following of being phoneless was awesome.
Oh yeah, because no one can get in contact with you.
No one could get in contact with me. I was probably the happiest person ever.
Yeah, you just literally just do whatever you want to do
Yeah.
all the time, and just like, ah, whatever.
Hmm.
That's great.
Yep. All right, you're up.
All right, so most people know, well, maybe not. Every year for the last 6 years or so, I do a charity event called the 50-mile hike, and I try to finish it. I finished it twice, and it's 50 miles in a day. It's not really the point I'm trying to make, but it's part of the Appalachian Trail of New Jersey, and not many people know this, but I tell anybody that crosses me that likes hiking, I want to hike the whole Appalachian Trail. Not set record times. I literally want to take 3 to 6 months off of everything and just be a complete wilderness explorer or
Love that.
read however long it takes me and just kind of start and then end, and then wherever I go and just kind of hang out in the hostels, do whatever you got to do, get your trail legs and just kind of keep moving and grooving, because I don't know what uh what it is about hiking, but like the woods and stuff, like we agree on this, you know.
Yeah.
There's something
We
about
are
trees.
tree huggers. Yeah.
Yes. Like, but
Granola
seriously,
ass,
yeah.
crunchy.
Yes. So like there is a whole thing with grounding and all that stuff and being in nature. It actually is proven to make you happier.
But it's
And
also just nice.
oh yeah, of course it is. So that's like a fun fact of mine is somehow, some way, I will find a way to take an extended period of time away from business and work and hike the whole thing. Will Leanne come with me? I don't know. Maybe she'll do half. I don't know if she want to do the whole thing, but it's a weird time because you can't. There's no way I could take unless I have infants, which would be even more amazing if I have kids at that time when I am able to do it, to take them with you. I mean, they could be little. You could take them with you, put them in a little backpack, and be like, all right, like
Could you imagine?
that.
That would be
That would be
crazy.
awesome. The only
Yeah.
issue you run into is the 100-mile wilderness, because you can't. You have to bring everything with you, and like if you're packing for an infant with diapers and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. No, that's has anyone done that before?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
First, I could be the first. So at some point that will get done. How and when, I'm not sure. It is just a huge life goal of mine to do it and get all the way through and just be like, because you could do sections, but I want to do it all in once. That's the
Yeah.
big thing. Like people are like, oh
Yes.
yeah, I do sections. I'll do this part, the lower part.
You've done sections, right? Like you were saying, you've done that 40-mile charity. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've done other parts of it, and it's just like, okay, this is cool, but I want to do the whole thing because that's cool.
Yeah.
We talked about this because you want to do the
Pacific Crest.
yes,
That
the
would be
West Coast
perfect. We'll
version.
do that. Yeah.
Is I don't know if it's the same length though. I think it's a little bit shorter. I'm not sure, or maybe it's
I don't
longer.
know.
Yeah. Either way, still really cool. I think that's gonna be. It's a huge bucket list item, but it will get done. Maybe when I'm 50. Who knows? Actually, 50 or 60. Maybe I'll do it when I'm 70. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do it at any age. You know.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
It just takes longer. So, and there's people that have done it like multiple times, which is wild to me because it takes a long time. And then there's people that like try to marathon run it and they do it in like, I don't know, I forget the shortest time. Was it a week? Something something crazy, or like 20 days, something like that. I'm like, wow. But they're not stopping. They're just going. That's not enjoyment. I want to do it for the enjoyment of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really cool. I'm excited for when you do that. I'll be waiting with snacks at the end with
Nice.
the picnic tables.
I'll like, you'll be like, hey, can we shoot an episode of the podcast this week? All right.
Yeah.
Let me see.
You record out there?
Yeah. Will we have reception? Yeah. Okay. We'll be good.
You'd have some nice thoughts going out there. So I think it'd be a good podcast.
Oh, it'd be great. I'd also be delusional, but there is like, there is that whole thing when you do spend enough time in the woods, you do start getting delusional.
Uh-huh.
I, if you do hike long enough, you will start experiencing that. And it's kind of wild. You start getting these thoughts and you're just like, am I okay right now? Then you start hearing things, but it's not actually true. Like, I'm pretty
Whoa.
sure that was a car. And you're like, there's no car for like 10 miles. There's no way. A road. You know what I mean? You're like, oh my gosh, is this it for
Whoa.
me? And
Yeah,
then you
it's
start
crazy.
seeing things. You're like, is that a person? No, it's the
Uh-huh.
sky. It's kind of crazy. So yes, I will have interesting thoughts.
Going off of that, since we're talking about like things that we want to do in the future, and I haven't really said this out loud before, I have always wanted to write a book, and I actually have
Ooh.
drafts. And
What?
yeah, I have I have a couple. And I have like, I mean, I'm looking at them right now, like this stack of journals, because I've written since I was little. Like
Really?
yeah, since I was probably in like third grade. I've always had a journal.
What?
So I have, yeah, a ton of
So what's this book
stuff.
about? Hold on, go back.
Well, I don't know. I have a lot of ideas. I have a
Interesting.
lot of ideas.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to share them yet, but
Okay.
it's
Okay.
like something that I've always wanted to do and will do in my free time.
I mean, I want to buy it now. I want to buy it now. All right. So Mandan wants to write a book, and now it's my turn to share another fun fact. So, very interesting fun fact about me. So I was 2 months premature, and when you are that little, I was 3 pounds 9 ounces or 6 ounces,
Get
very tiny.
out.
Yeah. So I was very quick, but also tiny. So I'd run around the house and trip and fall a lot and do whatever. So when I want to say it was 1.5, maybe two. Um, you know how decks have obviously railings around them, and there's that little space between the floor of the deck and the railing. Well, I was
Mhm.
so tiny that was running to go see my brother in the pool. It was an above ground pool, so it was second story, and slipped and literally slipped right through and fell head first on a lawnmower and cracked my skull open. And wild. And I survived, obviously, because I'm here. But
Uh-huh.
my brother, literally, all you heard was ding, and he was swimming in the pool. He's like, "Well, my brother's dead. Like that's it. There's nothing." Because he was in the pool, didn't know like what happened. And then like 10 seconds later, all he heard was like loud scream, like blood curdling scream or whatever. And I was fine. But what's even more funny about that is, I want to say 6 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago now, I had a patient and really cool kid. He like related to me really well. And he's like, Nick. So I have scars on my head, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's like, Nick, I don't know how to tell you this, but your barber like really messed you up. And I was like, what? What do you mean? He's like, he nicked you really bad. You're bald in a spot. And I was like, what? What do you, he's like, back here. And I was like, oh, no, man. I cracked my skull open when I was a child and no hair grows there anymore. He's like, oh, all right. I was like, thank you for looking out though. He's like, yeah, I don't want your barber to do you dirty like that. I was
It's a
like,
good
thank you so
friend.
much. But yeah, it's actually kind of wild because like when we tell people that story, they're like, you landed on a lawnmower and cracked your skull open. I was like, yeah. And you
Yeah.
survived. Like because you're so little, so it must have just been it wasn't a soft spot of the skull, it's the
Damn, dude.
back here. And then I have a whole bunch of other injuries that I've done as before I turned 4. Let's put it that way. I was always hurting
Reckless
myself.
child.
I was. So my mom was not happy with me at all because we were constantly in the hospital.
You're the
And
youngest.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is as I got older and learning more about physical therapy and people aging and growing and stuff, the reason why I moved so fast at such a young age was I was so weak and uncoordinated that if I moved fast, I can do the things I needed to do. But if I had to slow down, I would not be able to walk correctly. So I would just move really quickly and run to things, which is you think you're super fast and that's great, but actually it shows from a sign of not having stability. And so that
Wow.
actually did me less of a service doing that.
Wow. I never knew that.
I know, right? Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So fun fact, yes, I have cracked my skull open twice, and another time was a different time, and I had a lot of fun injuries before I was 4 years old.
I
But I never broke a bone technically, because I don't know if you crack count as your skull. It is a bone technically, but it like you know what I mean. No one's like, oh, I broke a bone, and they're like, yeah, my head. Like no, so
well, it's a bone.
yeah, so technically I have, but
Yeah.
no one ever says that.
Thankfully, I don't have any stories like that. Knock on wood, I don't need any.
Well,
But
keep it that way.
yeah,
Don't be falling on lawnmowers anymore or anything like that.
no. No. I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
Okay. So by the end of 2023, I'll
Hmm.
have lived in 4 different states.
No way.
Yep.
Wait, because you're not going to, you're going to Salt Lake City.
Went there
Oh, you're not
once.
going back there.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So
not a
I
state, by the way.
started,
For anyone listening, I know Salt Lake City is not a state. I know
you
that.
said you know it's not a city?
No, not a state. Because
Oh,
you said
not a
you
state.
lived in
Oh,
four
yeah.
different states. And I was like, yeah, but you went to Salt Lake City. So yes,
No,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
know it's not a state. Utah's a state, right? Yeah.
Yes. So I
um,
started in Denver,
right.
went to Utah. We were
Yes.
like, a little bit outside Salt Lake,
Hmm.
went back home to New Jersey,
Right.
came
Three.
back to Denver,
Yes.
and then we'll be ending in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Right. That's right. It's Scottsdale. Okay.
Yeah.
I see it's those S's. Salt Lake City, Scottsdale, I'm like they're the same thing, even though they're
Yeah.
nowhere near each other. That's
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
for the frame of reference, you have to say when this started, and I believe it was the last 2 years.
Yes. So actually, I love this story so much. I love my cousin so much, but one of my first clients, online clients,
Mhm.
a few years back, I think a while at this point, was my cousin Andrea that I live with.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, we knew each other. She's my second cousin. So we knew each other, but we were never close growing up.
Mhm.
Kind of saw her like once a year, if that, knew she existed, uh, that sort of thing. And it wasn't until I coached her that we actually got really close. I helped her out, she fixed a lot of her gut issues, lost a lot of weight. She has a really awesome story. But her lease was ending in Florida. And she had been joking, like, oh, you should come live with me in Florida. And because I worked remotely, I was kind of open, like I was looking to move out and I was open to whatever.
Yeah.
And I had always had a dream of coming to Denver because one of my friends in college is from here and I'd
Mhm.
visit her all the time and I just fell in love with it. I mean, as people do,
That's
as
great.
most transplants, typical transplant story. So,
Yeah.
I said to her, I was like, would you want to live in Denver for a short period of time? Because my mom had the idea of looking at Airbnbs because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay out here, if I wanted to live at home.
Mhm.
She was like, why don't you look at Airbnbs? If anyone works remote and you're wondering how to do this, it is so easy because Airbnbs will give you a monthly rate that's similar to rent for that building.
Yeah.
And then you can book it for as long as you want. So
Yeah.
like if you book it for a month to say like 4 months, like they're actually discounting it for you and you're not paying the actual month the nightly price.
Mhm.
You might just like not see that price listed when you go to look at it.
Yeah.
So that's how we're able to do it. And again, and we moved to Denver and then we loved it. We extended our stay and we were here for double the amount of time and then kind of just happened from there. Like it just,
It's
you
great.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You've been traveling the country, which you always
yes.
wanted to do. So it's perfect.
Yeah. I always wanted to van it out and drive around. And I guess this is my variation of that.
Yes. Almost
That,
there.
yeah.
Almost there. At
So
some
I
point,
I
you'll have a
keep
van.
joking though that after Scottsdale is my last one because it it's not, even though we're not moving furniture or anything like that, you put roots down and
Hmm.
it
It's
gets
hard.
hard to leave a
Yes.
place. Yeah.
It is tough. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I can see that. All right. My next one will be, so most people know I've competed in bodybuilding. But people don't know I've done 5 shows, multiple shows actually. So yeah, I didn't just do one and done. It was like kind of like, oh, this is it. Like no, I did 5 shows, all very tough. Um, all while I was in grad school, which just makes it even harder. Um,
Yeah.
it's crazy. No, not just grad school, undergrad and grad school.
Right.
Um, and then as we talked about before, Ray and I on our last podcast, we and him competed in the same episode, same uh show, which is kind of wild. But yeah, so I do have a good understanding of what's going on with all of that fun stuff because it does change your perspective on lifting. And then when you're out of it, you definitely change your perspective on lifting and stuff. And would I ever do one again? Probably not, to be honest with you. It's just it's a lot on your body. And I don't know if I have the discipline, but I don't know if I want to do it again, you know?
Yeah.
But to be honest, there is something amazing about seeing how toned you can get and how shredded you can get. And
Mhm.
it is pretty cool. I think you once asked me to, if you wanted to do one a while back. So
I
you should,
did, yeah.
yeah, you should do it at some point. But that's one
I
of
would
those
have
ones.
to make sure my hormones are
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
a whole nother, it's a lot into it, especially for a female, but there is something amazing about being able to see all the different muscles, see how shredded you can get, and just how you can adapt your body and change and like just
Well, it's
with something so simple.
yeah, and it's such like an extreme level of discipline too, which
Yes.
is really cool.
Yeah. So it was it was very interesting of how those 5 shows went because I was also in my 20s, so I still wanted to party and do all that stuff. And
Yeah.
I did. Um, but yeah, it was a wild time. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
That's cool though. That's
Yeah,
an accomplishment.
it is. That's true. All right, you're up.
I'm actually, I feel like I probably could have thought of a better one than this, but I quit my first job after 3 days.
Wait, why? That's amazing.
I was 16. It was a pizza shop.
Hmm.
And I don't even know if I was 16. I might have been 15.
Okay.
And I had to answer the phone. And that was terrifying.
Oh, of course, because why would you ever answer the
Completely
phone?
terrifying.
Yes. You would never
And
know that you have your own podcast now or anything like that.
oh, this is that's actually a really big piece
Yeah.
of why I've like thrown myself into putting
All this
myself
stuff.
out there because it was always my biggest fear.
See, look
Um,
at that.
yeah, but
Did you actually quit? Did you walk in and say I quit, or did you just not show up after 3 days?
I just didn't. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? You think that I had the balls to walk in and say that I quit? No, I just didn't show up again.
That's amazing. It was like, ah,
I got no direction whatsoever on like how to do things. So I was just like this little lost puppy walking around this pizza parlor shop. And people, you don't want to mess with people and their food. Okay. People
true.
are angry when it comes to food. So it was too much for me.
Makes
Man,
sense.
it was, yeah. So I quit after 3 days.
I don't blame you. It was a little too much. That's crazy. That is wild. I would never have guessed that because based on knowing you, you stick to things and you're kind of like, all right, let's do this, let's do this. But when you're
Yeah.
16, you have to answer a phone and you don't want to do it. It's like, all right, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Um, so yeah, I think this was a very fun episode, just to learn a little bit more about Amanda and I. We can always do another one because there are a lot of facts that people probably don't know about us or we don't know about each other. But I hope you all enjoyed this. If you're listening, like always on Spotify or Apple, please rate us. Please tell your friends. The best way to help us grow is tell your friends and share it to everybody. But hopefully you enjoyed learning all these weird little facts about Amanda and I.